Hey folks, Iolair here. Today I've got two articles from the World of Warships development blog to cover with you. The first was announced yesterday, Wednesday, September 16th, and talks about some of the details around the 11th season of clan battles. And then the second article goes over a series of changes or proposed changes to ships that are currently available today, as well as some ships that are in testing. So, as is the case with all of these development blog articles, everything is subject to change. And I have left an index in the video description in case you want to skip to the second article right away. So, on the article about the clan battle season, that the next season will span 099 and 0910. The dates are October 7th through November 23rd, and the theme is Northern Waters. Battles will be held in 7 versus 7 format with tier 10 ships. There are some restrictions on the number of certain classes that can be brought. A team can bring up to no more than one carrier, I should say, and no more than 2 battleships, although if they bring a carrier, they are then limited to a single battleship. So basically, one carrier and one battleship, or 2 battleships at most. And then last rule that they've cited here is that a team can include up to 1 mercenary. So mercenary is a feature that's actually being revived that existed a few years ago, back in early 2016, that allows a clan leader to invite somebody from outside the clan to participate with the team in a clan battle, or in clan battles in general. The next item is that the maps involved will be Ice Islands, Sleeping Giant, Warrior's Path, North Greece, and Northern Waters. So another feature, although I suppose it depends upon your opinion whether this is a feature or not, but another feature is that cyclones can be present on any of these maps. So they're not guaranteed, but there's a possibility that they could occur. So cyclones will appear at the beginning of the battle, which basically will allow teams to immediately choose what tactics they want to follow. So the idea, I assume, is they don't want players to assume that it's a non-cyclone battle, and then suddenly a few minutes into the match a cyclone strikes. I think it sounds like that's what they're trying to avoid. They want the teams to know up front that a cyclone is happening. Cyclones will immediately reduce the viewing range of planes to 8 kilometers. On the 4th minute of a battle, the viewing range of all ships will begin to decrease, and after 30 seconds, detection or viewing range will be limited to 14 kilometers. And then the last point they have here is that after 15 and a half minutes of battle, the cyclone begins to weaken, and after 30 seconds, it completely disappears. So quite a few changes from how cyclones work today in random battles. Basically, again, the cyclone appears as soon as the game starts. Viewing range for planes will be limited immediately to 8 kilometers. The viewing range will be reduced to 14 kilometers instead of 8 once the cyclone is in full effect. So that's a key difference compared to random battles. And then the cyclone will start to lift after 15 and a half minutes, which means that you have more than 10 minutes of the strongest effects of the cyclone being in effect. So kind of some interesting effects here, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I think Wargaming is trying to do here. In fact, in that next section, this is where they're kind of going with it, is that they want to. I think they're looking to try to reduce the spotting potential of carriers. That's their first argument, and they're also clearly trying to find some way to incorporate destroyers back into the mix by having both a very dynamic number of maps involved and the fact that cyclones may or may not occur. So one of the common refrains that we heard from the community during the last season of ranked battles is that the meta became extremely fixed and very static. So what ended up happening is teams would bring 1 Hakuryu, 6 Venezias, and a Stalingrad, or some mixture thereof. But those were the 3 ships that were often involved. Destroyers basically became completely non-participatory at some point during the season, and as were battleships. So it's clear that I think Wargaming wants to ensure that there are conditions and a variety of conditions and a level of variability that force teams to make to comprise class combinations that are going to potentially be effective across all of these variables and not have these sort of very static and very dry, if you will, a very dry experience. So I think that's generally going to hopefully will be a good thing in terms of improving the playing and competitive conditions. Whether Cyclones is the right way to approach it, I don't know. I don't play clan battles too often, but I'm sure if there are folks out there that do play clan battles regularly, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And then the last comment here is, as before, we will closely monitor your feedback as well as the results of the season. And based on the results, we will decide on further development of this battle type. So clearly, Wargaming is trying to get things to be mixed up. Well, not in a negative way. They're trying to increase the variety for the gameplay and not make it as static as it was in the previous round of ranked battle or clan battles. All right, second article. Let's move to that. These are going into testing in 099. Again, changes both to ships that are currently available today as well as some ships that are in testing. Now, thanks to your support and encouragement, I was able to make the CC status yesterday. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for your support, which means that I can't comment, or I have to be careful about how much I comment on ships that are in testing. Technically, right now, I don't have access to any of these ships yet, but I still want to honor the spirit of the NDA, and I will stick with the facts on the ships that are currently in testing. And you can draw your own conclusions, but let's at least go through these. So starting with the ships that are currently in game today, the Tech Tree Royal Navy Heavy Cruiser at Tier 5, the HMS Hawkins, her main battery is being improved from 12.6 to 12.1 seconds. I think by and large this will be a welcome change. This ship can be fairly challenging, I think, for a lot of players, so I think this is going to be welcomed by most. The Tech Tree Tier 8 Royal Navy Carrier HMS Implacable, her bomb parameters are being changed. So the maximum damage on bombs is being increased from 4,700 to 4,900, and the chance of fires is being increased slightly from 27 to 28%. Now, the changes to the next two ships are significant. So the Tier 10 Tech Tree Soviet heavy cruiser, the Petropavlovsk, as well as the Tier 9 cruiser. I'm sorry, did I say carrier? I meant cruiser. Tier 10 cruiser, as well as the Tier 9 cruiser, the Riga. Their detectability range by surface is being increased. So for the Petro, it's being increased from 14.9 to 15.4 kilometers. And that will make her best concealment be 12.1 kilometers, which means that she will no longer be able to stealth radar. Now, this only gives her a 100-meter differential between her detection and her maximum radar range, so I don't know how much influence this will really have, but I know that a common refrain from the community is that we shouldn't have, or by and large, we shouldn't have ships that can stealth radar. So that's one change. The Riga is also, her detection is being increased from 14.74 to 15.04 kilometers, which means that her best detection will be 11.8 kilometers. Now, that technically means she can stealth radar. She's got a 200-meter difference between her detection and her maximum radar range. Again, I don't know how much influence that's going to have. We'll have to see. And they also say that the other detectability ranges for these two ships will be increased accordingly, which means aerial detection range as well as detection from behind or within smoke, etc. All right, the last item here for the Riga is that her main battery reload is being buffed from 15 to 14.5 seconds. I personally welcome this. I was very mediocre about my experience with, or very uninspired by my experience with the Riga. I felt like she was quite one-dimensional. So I definitely see that getting a buff on her reload is a good thing in order to improve the experience with that ship. All right, next update is going to be interesting for those of you who like to play those high-speed gunboat destroyers and a number of other ships that have engine boost. So the Engine Boost Modification 1 upgrade, which is the special upgrade you can buy in the armory for coal, the benefit of this upgrade is being nerfed a second time. When it was originally introduced, it increased the action time of engine boost by 50%. Recently, it was nerfed from 50% to 40%, and now Wargaming is proposing that for 099, it will be nerfed again from a 40% increase in the action time to a 30% increase. So for those of you who like this upgrade for high-speed ships, again, the French and Soviet gunboat destroyers are kind of the classic example, although there are lots of other ships that benefit from this. This is probably not very welcome news. All right, so that's the changes for stuff that is currently available today. The next set of changes are to things that are currently in testing. So first is the upcoming premium Royal Navy light cruiser Belfast 43. The number of short burst smoke generator consumable charges is being increased from 2 to 3. So the short burst smoke generator, for those, just a reminder, it's the same smoke that the Royal Navy destroyers get. They have a 10-second deployment on the smoke. The smoke sticks around for 40 seconds and the reload is 70 seconds. So you have a 30-second differential between your last puff disappearing and your smoke becoming available again. So the Belfast, which has that consumable, the number of charges is being increased from 2 to 3. The next update is to the upcoming tech tree, U.S. Navy, Tier 10 U.S. Navy battleship, the USS Vermont. Her Sigma is being increased again, or improved, from 1.9 to 1.95. So fairly recently, it was increased to 1.9. For those of you looking forward to playing the upcoming U.S. Navy battleships, I think this is probably going to be pretty welcome news. So it should make the Vermont even more effective, at least from an artillery perspective. The next update is to the premium Tier 6 Italian destroyer, the Lione. Her main battery reload is being nerfed from 8.5 to 9.5 seconds. I don't have any opinion on how good or bad that is relative to her performance, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. Boy, do I boy do I sound like the CIA. Okay, enough on that. For the upcoming premium Tier 9 Italian destroyer, the Paolo Emilio, she's getting a number of changes, two of which to her SAP. So the first one is that the angle at which a check for ricochets is being nerfed from 70 degrees to 60 degrees. So what it means is that today, if a sap shell from the Paolo Emilio hits a ship that is angled 70 degrees to her, Wargaming will do a check, or Warships will do a check whether there's a ricochet chance or not. They're now reducing that angle to 60 degrees, which basically means a ship does not need to be as strongly angled in order to incur that check whether a ricochet is going to occur from the sap shell. And then related to that, the guaranteed ricochet angle for the sap shells is being reduced from 80 to 75 degrees, which means that today, so long as you are angled 80 degrees or better or more strongly, you're guaranteed to bounce an SAP shell from the Paolo Emilio. They're now changing that to 75 degrees. So again, a nerf to the performance of the SAP. And then the last item here is that the maximum speed from the emergency engine power consumable is being increased from 20 to 25%. So the Paolo Emilio will get this special engine boost consumable, which gives her a short burst but very high speed increase in speed. And they're changing that to be from a 20% increase in speed to a 25% increase in speed. So a minor change there. The upcoming premium Tier 5 U.S. Navy battleship, the USS Oklahoma, her AP shell armor penetration is being increased. They don't say exactly what that is. Usually this translates into the Krupp value for the AP shells is being increased to basically increase the armor penetration of the shells. But again, there's no specifics on what exactly that is. And then the upcoming special Tier 10 U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, the USS Franklin D. Roosevelt, the number of rockets in her attacks is being nerfed from 28 to 26%. So the rocket attacks on the Roosevelt have been nerfed a couple of times fairly recently. She had one nerf that reduced the alpha on the rockets from 2,000 to, I think, 1,650 per rocket. And then she also had a nerf to the number of rockets in an attack from 30 to 28. And that we are now seeing another buff to that, or another nerf, excuse me, to reduce the number of rockets from 28 to 26. And then the last update is to the upcoming premium tier 9 Japanese battleship Hizen. Her deck armor is being increased from 25 to 32 millimeters. I don't know how much of an impact that's really going to be because, the types of shells that could penetrate 25 millimeters but cannot penetrate 32 are fairly narrow. So like U.S. Navy battleship secondaries with IFHE will now no longer be able to pen the armor, the deck. Mid-tier light cruisers, like Tier 7 light cruisers with IFHE, will no longer be able to pen the deck armor. Soviet gunboat destroyers with IFHE will no longer be able to pen the deck armor. But basically everything else is that was able to penetrate 25 degrees or 25 millimeters will still be able to penetrate. So upper tier light cruisers with IFHE will still penetrate. Or maybe that's the difference. Maybe the difference is you have to have IFHE now on your upper tier HE spamming light cruisers in order to pen the deck. Maybe that's really what Wargaming is going after here. I'm not sure. So in any case, but most other shell sizes that could penetrate 25 millimeters, at least at upper tiers, can also penetrate 32 millimeters with some specialization. All right, so that is, I think, going to wrap it up for these updates. So let me know what your thoughts are and leave your comments below. I love hearing from the audience, like I said. And as always, we hope to see you out there on the virtual seas, and we wish you happy sailing.